You're welcome to this class. This is Scholars Universal School Business Studies online class. In our last class, we talked about the concept of credit, and we've been able to understand from our previous class the definition of credit, the benefits of taking credit, and the reason why people take credit. So in our class for today, we'll be talking about occupation. Now, before we move into this topic properly, I need you to know that Nigerians are among the most hardworking and resourceful people on earth. So you find Nigeria doing different types of occupations, and so also people across the world, we engage in different population in order to earn a living. Now, to move into this topic properly, types of occupation, I want you to answer this question. What are the different types of occupations that you know? What are the different types of occupations that you know? What are the different types of occupations that people are engaged in? Or what is the occupation of your dad and mom? What are the occupations of your uncle and aunties? Alright, to answer that question, what is occupation? In occupation, they say it's means the job a person does to earn a living. Occupation means the job a person does to earn a living. That is, what is your brother doing, or what is daddy and mommy doing to earn a living? And occupation is a productive activities in which somebody is engaged that provides them with the financial resource to cater for his needs. That is, that thing that we are doing that is fetching us money. That thing that mommy and daddy is doing that is fetching them money. You know, we have a number of us that our daddy or our mommy, they are accountants. Our daddy or our mommy, they are teachers. Our daddy or our mommy, they are farmers. Our daddy or our mommy, they are traders. Our daddy or our mommy, they are lecturers. You know, that thing, that activity that they are engaged in, that activity that they are doing in order to earn a living is what we call occupation. And the purpose of involving in a particular occupation is to be useful to the society. That is, as a farmer, you know, you are going to the farm, you are planting and you are harvesting, you are giving the society food. Even though as a farmer, when you take your farm produce to the market, you know, you sell your produce to the public, you sell to the market. So you are involving in a particular occupation in order to be useful to the society. As a teacher, you are helping people to make them know what they do not know. As a teacher, as a lecturer, you are helping. You know, occupation means a job that someone does to earn a living. An example of occupations are teaching, farming, accounting, banking, engineering, you know, medical doctors. You know, all of those things are occupation. Those are what we do to earn a living. Now, when we talk about types of occupation, there are 5 main groups of or division of occupation as shown in the diagram below. Now, we have the extractive, we have the manufacturing, we have the construction, we have the commercial, and the services. So we'll be talking about, or we'll be discussing about them exclusively in our next slide. So you have to pay attention to all of these types of occupations. Now let's move into the first one, which is extractive. Now, what is extractive? I believe you could see this. You could see these images. Now, this is a farmer. This is a farmer. This is a fisherman, and this set of people are trying to extract things from the sea. All right. Now, what is extractive occupation? Extractive occupation involves obtaining raw materials and natural resources from the soil and sea. That is, it could be farming, it could be fishing, it could be hunting, could be quarrying and mining. And all of those things are examples of extractive occupation. So farming, you are extracting raw materials, extracting farm produce from the soil. It could be fishing, where you are getting things from the sea, from the water. And the workers in this division of occupation make raw materials readily available to those who turn the raw materials into finished goods. They are also called the primary industry. And extractive industries provide the following: They provide crude oil for petroleum products. They provide iron ore for making various types of irons, for building houses, for building bridges, for building vehicles and household appliances. Those are what we use iron ore for. They provide cocoa for beverages, drinks and chocolate sweets. I believe you remember. In case you do not know, you need to know that cocoa is used for making beverages, for making chocolates and the likes like that. And they make cotton for clothing. Cottons for clothing. So the set of people that get the raw materials that we use for all of these things are those we termed that they work in the extractive industry. And don't forget, the set of people that work in the extractive industries are the farmers, the fishermen, the miners and the likes like that. So we'll move to the next one, which is the manufacturing occupation. We said manufacturing is the making of finished goods. Manufacturing occupation involves the process of turning raw materials into finished products, usually with the use of the hands or machines. There are several occupations involved in transforming raw materials into finished goods. The manufacturing industry, which makes goods available for homes, offices and schools, are also known as secondary producers, because they turn materials from extractive, that is the primary industry, into usable consumer products. Manufactured goods include textbooks, beverages, sweets, shirts, orange juice, radio, television, etc. When we talk about this manufacturing industry, there are the set of people that after the extractive have, they've gotten the raw materials for us, the manufacturing industry would convert them into usable products. There are some raw materials that not until when they are transformed into their usable product, they might not be useful. And there's also some raw materials that after transforming them into you could transform them into many things. Take for instance the textbooks. We got textbook from wood pulp, from wood. So the farmer in the extractive industry would get wood, and the manufacturer would transform that wood into so many things. So they will use the wood pulp to create books. So also the farmers in the extractive industries would get cocoa. So from the cocoa that they are getting, they will transform them. The manufacturing industry will transfer them into beverages. So also we have so many things. We have sweets, we have shirts. So the extractive, the farmers will get cotton. They plant cotton. The extractive farmers, the extractive industry people, which are the farmers, will get cotton, and from the cotton we can get shirts. They make orange juice. They can plant the extractive wood. They will plant. The farmers would plant orange, and the manufacturers would create orange juice from the orange that they've produced, and lots more like that. So what the manufacturing people does is they transform raw materials into finished goods. So we're moving to the next one, which is the construction occupation. And construction is the putting together of different finished materials to build roads, railways, and houses, etc. In the building of houses, cement blocks and sand are used. Cement blocks and sand are used. But you need to know that to make cement, the extractive people have to get limestone. I believe you remember that limestone is used in making cement. So they have to get the people involved in the extractive industry have to get the limestone in order to make cement. And after getting the cement, the manufacturing people have to convert the limestone into cement. After getting the cement, the constructive industry, which are the construction components, would make the cement, would use the cement to make blocks. They will use it to make houses and the likes like that. So the professionals in construction occupation include iron benders, they include road construction workers, they include bricklayers, they include carpenters, they include civil engineers, they include builders, they include architects, mechanical engineers, plumbers, and etc. So that is the set of people that are involved in the construction occupation. So we'll move to the next one, commercial occupation. Commercial occupation, I believe you remember what commercial occupation is. We said, while we're defining commerce in our first term, we said commerce is any activity that people involves in that involves the marketing and distribution of products. That is, distributing goods from the manufacturer to the final and to the final consumer, which are the end users. So commercial occupation involves the marketing. That is how wants to get goods, how we wants to take goods that people have manufactured, from the extraction to the manufacturing to the construction, and the production is not complete not until when goods gets to the final consumer. So the set of people that would broadcast the goods. Take for instance, we have a new product in the economy. We have a new product like, okay, we have Milo. Before the production of Milo, you have some set of people that they call themselves farmers, which they are involved in the extractive industry. They went to get cocoa. After getting the cocoa, they took the cocoa, the manufacturing people took the cocoa and they made Milo. After making the Milo, the production is not yet complete, not until when the Milo gets to the people that are going to consume them. So that's the activity that involves marketing and distribution of that product is what we call the commercial occupation, and that is what most of us our daddy and mommy fall into. That is the set of people that we call traders. The set of people we call traders. What they are doing is, some people are wholesalers, some people are retailers. Wholesalers, we've said in our previous time that people that sells in bulk quantities, people that sells in cartons. So those set of people, they are involved in commercial occupation. We said the people engaged in commercial occupation ensure that goods gets to the consumers. And consumers occupation or commercial occupation also include activities that aid trade, such as communications, insurance, finance, tourism, advertising. Don't forget that in our previous time we talked about, can we be in a team? We used the acronym, can we be in a team? And we know that C represents communications, we know that W represents warehousing, B represents banking, IN represents insurance, A represents advertising, and C represents tourism and transportation. You see, so all of these things represent the aids to trade. So those are the things that helps to make trade possible, helps to make commercial occupation possible. So don't forget that we said commercial occupation involves the marketing and distribution of products. So we're moving to the next part, which is services. Now when we talk about services, we say services refers to the particular skills that a person has and can offer to people who need them for a fee. I'm taking it again. We said services refers to the particular skills that a person has and can offer to people who need them for a fee. Take for instance the work I'm doing right now. I'm teaching. So people need this. People need someone that will put them through. And we said services refers to a particular skill that people ask and can offer to people who need them for a fee. That is, I'm offering my teaching skill. I'm offering my skills to you. So therefore we are saying that a teacher renders service. Take for instance the doctors. When we are not feeling fine, we go to the hospital. The doctor would check us and they will diagnose what is wrong with us, and they will prescribe some drugs to us. So they have rendered services. Take for instance, if we want to transport ourselves from our home to our school, or if you are moving from somewhere to the other, and we used public transport. It could be bike, it could be keke napep, it could be bus, it could be taxi. Moving from where we are to where we are going to, we would require the service of the commercial transport providers. So service has been rendered. So you're saying that services refers to the particular skill that a person has and can offer to people who need them for a fee. That is, okay, I need to transport myself and you can't drive yourself. So what you need to do is go to the bus stop, pick a bike, pick a taxi or pick a cab, and tell them, okay, you are going to this place. They will take you there, and you give them the price for, or the cost of, the transportation that you have incurred. And you have to understand that there are two kinds of services. You have the direct services and indirect services. For the direct services are services that bring services provider in direct contact with the consumer. The bring service provider, take for instance, when you're going to somewhere, you're going to school, you've gone to the bus stop to get a bike, you pick the bike and you pay them. So the service provider are the people that are giving out the service, and the direct consumer is you, that you are taking the product. So when the service provider and the consumer are in direct contact, that kind of service is called direct services, and the consumer will receive the service, pays for such services. Take for instance, we have the housekeeper, we have the gateman, we have the night watchman, and the family doctor. All of these people provide direct services, because the housekeeper will come to the house, keep the house. After cleaning, he or she gets its money. We have the gateman comes to the house, watch the house, protect the house, open the gates when it's necessary, and at the end of the month, he or she collects his salary or wages. The night watchman also. We have the family doctor, we have teachers, a number of them. All of these people provide direct services. So once again, we said direct services are services that bring the service providers in direct contact with the consumers. So we are moving to the next part, which is the indirect services. Indirect services are occupation which involve the provision of services to the public and not directly to a private consumer or client. So you're saying that this set of services are occupation which involves the provision of service to the public and not directly to a private consumer or client. They are health workers. Take for instance, we have health workers, that is people, those nurse and doctors that work in public hospitals, general hospitals, health centers, and the likes like that. When you go to that place, when you go to that place to receive medications, you don't pay them directly. The government pays them. Or take for instance, public school teachers. We have sanitary workers, we have police officers, military officers, and so on. For police officers, for military officers, and all of this set of workers, public school teachers, we don't get to pay them directly. So indirect services are occupation which involve the provision of service to the public and not directly to a private customer or client. What they are doing is they are public workers. They are rendering service to the public, and it is not the public that will pay them. It is the government that will pay them, and the salary of such service providers are paid by the government through taxes collected from its citizens. So how does government get the money to pay them? They get the money through tax. Tax is the compulsory money that government collects from individuals. If you can ask daddy and mommy, they collect tax from their salaries. You can discuss with daddy, you can discuss with mommy or your uncle or auntie or sisters. They collect money, they collect a small amount of money from their salary. So that money is what we call tax. So it is that money that government collects together, and they will use it to pay people that offer public services, that offers indirect services. Alright. So don't forget that in this class we've been able to discuss about the types of occupation. We said we have the extractive, and the set of occupation under extractives are the agriculture, the oil drilling, the mining, hunting, fishing. We have the manufacturing, and the manufacturing involves the food production. We have the production of household goods. We have the printing. We have the car making. We have the textile making. We have the construction, and the set of occupation we find there is the road making, bridges, housing, airports, stadiums. Those are the set of things that we can construct. We have the commercial, and the aids to trade. We said they are the warehousing, insurance, tourism, advertising, banking, communication, transportation, etc. And for the services, we said we have two types of service. We have the direct and indirect service. For the direct, we have the nursing, teaching, that is the private or personal nurse. the housekeeping, the coaching, and the likes like that. And for the indirect, we have the police, we have army, we have air force, we have street cleaning. Those are the set of services that government gets to pay for them. All right, so that brings us to the end of our class for today. All right, but before, let's consider the factors affecting occupation. So let's consider the factors affecting occupation before we call it a day. Now, when we talk about the factors affecting occupation, there are factors which affect occupation. And what are the factors? Number one, the education, skills, and training. Education, skills, and training. We have a number of us that, because of what the course we are studying, it's helping us, and because of the training we have received, it is helping us to to guide us into the occupation we will be picking. Take for instance, if you want to become an accountant, you need to know your business studies so well. Study accounting, go to commercial or business department, then you can become either an accountant, you can become or a business administrator, you can become a banker, and the likes like that. So education or skills that people ask. Take for instance, you want to become a medical doctor, you have to know your basic science so well, know your sciences, know your physics, chemistry, and biology. Then you can move to science department, then you'll be able to go and study. So education helps, and is one of the factors that determines occupation. Another factor is natural endowment. When we talk about natural endowment, we are talking about the natural things. Take for instance, we have some set of places that you can easily find some natural gifts, natural resources. Take for instance, we have places like Delta, places like the Niger, the Middle Belt, the Niger Delta, where you can find oil, where you can find crude oil. So that kind of place, the set of people, the set of occupation that you find they are the miners, people that they can extract the oil because of the natural endowment in that part of the country. Take for instance, you have people in Sokoto, you have people that can make farmers that can plant onions in Sokoto because of the natural endowments in that kind of place. So we have climate. So we have, when we talk about climate, we are talking about the weather condition. There are some plants that they can't grow easily in the west. That is when I'm saying the west, we are talking of Ogun State, Osun State, Lagos State, and the likes like that. So we have, like, take for instance, we don't plant rice like that in the west. So the climate determines the kind of occupation, the kind of things that people would be doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So climate is one of the weather condition is one of the reasons why people choose or pick occupation. So if at all there will be farmers, they can't be planting rice to that extent in this part of the country. They can plant, we have places whereby where yam grows easily. We have places where you can plant rice. So that's one of the determinant of occupation. Before you can pick your occupation, you have to look at, okay, what is obtainable in my environment? What are people doing here? What can I do with ease? You understand? So the next part is the family background. You have some families that what they do, they have their own occupation. Take for instance, you can see this man drumming. In Yoruba, we said the people that come from the family of drummer, they are the Anyo. We call them Anyo. That is, they are drummers. So that's their family background. Their family background, their family background determine their occupation. So there are some set of people that due to their religious belief. Religious belief is another factor that affect occupation. Religious belief. Due to the religious belief, there are some set of occupations that are some people that they can't do because of their religious belief. So that's another factors that affect occupation. Take for instance, we have the Muslim brothers and sisters, and they don't. There are some set of occupations that they don't do. Take for instance, when we talk about factors affecting occupation,
You know, we've talked about education and skills, we've talked about natural endowments, we've talked about climate, we've talked about family background, now religious beliefs. So we are moving to the next part, which is talents and skills. There's some people that they have talent to, you know, sing. So that's the reason why they are, you know, doing that occupation. It's just like, you know, when we talk about talent and skills, you can remember, you know, we have Wizkid. He's talented in singing. We have people that sing. We have Sinach. She sings. She's talented. We have Frank Edward. He sings and is talented. We have Ibrahim Labaika. He sings and is talented. You know, those are the things that helps people to pick occupation. And we have the last factors, which is passion. You know, there are some people that they have passions. Passions is one of the things that drive them. That is, passion is one of the things that drives them to, you know, pick occupation. So, and I've helped us to create something that would help us to remember all of these factors that affect occupation. And the factors I've, you know, the things I've crafted out is parent controls family. Now, when we say parent controls family, this is how to use the factors. We say parent controls family. That is, this PA represents, when you remember PA, you should remember passion. When you remember R, you should remember religious beliefs. When you remember E, you should remember education, skills, and training. Education, skills, and training. When you remember N, you should remember natural endowment. When you remember T, you should remember talent and skills. When you remember C, you should remember climate. And when you remember F, you should remember family. F for family, you should remember family background. So don't forget, parent controls family. And don't forget, you know that parent controls family. Whenever you remember parent controls family, you should remember that we have the 7 factors affecting population. So that is the end of our class for today. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask on the group. I wish you all the best. Thank you, and ensure you stay